I've had this Draper trolley jack for quite a number of years now, and it served me well, but recently it let me down. It failed on me when I was doing a lift, so I was going to chuck it out and get a new one, but I thought I'd repair it. They are generally quite easy to repair, so I thought I would make a video to explain what I did to repair it, and also how to top up with hydraulic oil and to bleed the system if the jack is playing up. So if the jack doesn't maintain a lift, so you pump it up and then it just slowly comes down, that could be an airlock in the system, or it could mean that you need to top up with hydraulic oil. I'll show you how to do that. So anyway, back to my problem. As I say, it failed because the oil was coming out at this point here. So all I had to do, now obviously different jacks will have different mechanisms, but this one is very easy. I need to remove this first, and the way to do that, there is a little split pin here which retains this bar, so I need to remove this pin. Can do that with a screwdriver. Just pull it up like that and then push the pin out, lift that up. Now I'm not going to pull this out because there's oil in there. I've topped it up with oil. If I pull this out now, the oil will come gushing out. But what I needed to do, remove that as I did, just pull this out. It will be a little bit stiff because there's a rubber in there, so pull it out, and then you'll find that there's a little rubber O-ring on the end of this, and on my one the O-ring had perished, I think, or it had failed. So I just measured it for the diameter and the thickness, and looked on eBay and got an equivalent on there, and then just levered the old one off with a screwdriver and put the new one on. It's so easy to do, it really is. And then put that down, put that back in, put the pin back in, which I'll do in a minute. Now the other issue I had that today actually, was this piece here. You can see it's got a thread, and I had oil leaking out from the thread, and it seemed a little bit strange to me that there was nothing on. There's no rubber washer or anything on there to stop the oil from coming up. So what I've done, rightly or wrongly, I've used some plumber's PTFE tape. I've wound it around, so I took this out, unscrewed this, just simply put a spanner on there and it'll come out, and then I wound some PTFE tape. Now you need to wind it in the direction that when you screw this back in, it doesn't unwind the PTFE. So from memory I would wind it, yeah, so I'd get the tape like that. If that's the thread, I'd wind it like that, so that when I tighten like that, the tape stays on the thread. If I'd done it the other way, the tape would come off the thread. So I wound a couple of turns around that, then screwed it in, and that seems to stop the oil from coming out. So let's put this back on. Just the reverse of the way I took it off. Like that, put the pin through. Right, so what you need to do, if you've done that, if the oil's come out, or if you need to top the oil up, so as I said, if you find that this is not maintaining the lift, it lifts and then it slowly lowers on its own. It could be because you don't have enough oil in here, or it could be you have an airlock. So what you need to do, if you see that, I don't know if that's clear or not really, yeah. So there is a little bung there. Now I know they do vary on different jacks, but on my one, this bung here, which is a rubber bung, is used for topping up the oil. you can just lever it open, as you can see with the screwdriver. So I don't know if that's going to be visible, but what you want with this lowered, with the jack lowered, I don't know if you can see that, you need to have oil covering this ram inside. Just needs to cover it. If it isn't, then you need to top it up. Okay, so you top it up, and then what you do, let's put the camera back, you need to bleed the system to get the oil, to get the air out. Now I've seen different people do it different ways, and the way it seemed to work for me is this method. So you close this valve up as though you're going to lift the jack. You rotate it anti-clockwise one turn, so you undo it one turn, and then you pump. Don't need the bar for that. You pump 8 times. You then tighten it up, and then you lift adjust that. Sorry for the mess in the garage, I've never got enough room. So we lift it to its full extent. The oil won't come out of that hole. Okay, and once it's up to its full extent, you give it another 8 pumps. You can do more than 8, it doesn't really matter. Now, it is settling a little bit, I must admit, but it'll get to a certain point and then it will stop. That's it. And then what you do, you release it, let the jack come down, and then check in that hole to see, I don't think you'll be able to see that, but to see if you need to top up with oil. Yeah, you have to take my word for it. So there is still oil in there, so I don't need to add any more in. That's all you need to do to bleed the air from the jack once you've topped it up. So as I say, if you find that the thing's not maintaining its lift, it's dropping down on its own, you may need to top up with oil, you may have an airlock. If you do, just follow that procedure, and hopefully that will get you out of trouble. Hope that's useful.